Working in correction is not for everybody. I've been in correction for some times, back and forth. I'll go full time and take a break. I remember one day in Philadelphia, I don't know, something about when they locked that, the iron gate in the prison and it just go click. You feel like a prisoner yourself and you locked in. And at first it didn't bother me, but then after a while it started getting to me. And a lot of people don't understand behind the scene what goes on in the jail. It's very different than in the street. The inmates actually, they're not on the drugs. They're kind of like sort of sober. So they're not as dangerous to us. I mean, that's the fact, to the nurses. Unless they're, I think it's more to their peers. I remember one time, Philadelphia jail on, and I was in the medication room, and I have to medicate like, let me see, about 500 inmates. It's like the buildings are, or the medication that you go through to medicate is grouped like in a pod. Like I had ABC pod. I didn't like at the time. I wasn't interested in psych that much. The psych pod was too much for me. They get a lot of medicine. When I say a lot of medicine, 2 cups of medicine. I didn't want to deal with that. And then the company that we worked for was contracted out. Philadelphia system contract them, the medical center, and we had to finish the medication at a certain time. And if we didn't, it would cost them money. So I didn't want to go on the psych ward because I'll be there all night long. And then the officer's going to get mad because when it comes to like 11 o'clock at night, they don't want to continue doing meds when night shift come in. So I would go in the other unit and we just be just popping pills, popping pills. Because all the inmates, they don't come out in the daytime. They sleeping. So the day shift have it easy. But they do come out at night for everything. Tylenol on everything. And so the inmates would come out and they say, who's the nurse? Once they see my name or look down the hall and see me, I say, oh, slick. We ain't getting nothing tonight. Because I don't play. I don't have time for their games. I don't want to hear them, how they, because all they're going to do, they come out for nurses that's going to give them what they want. And if it's not in that book, I play by the rule. If the doctor did not order Tylenol, you won't be able to get Tylenol from me. I don't even medicate the officer. I don't even medicate the staff. If they need Tylenol, they need to go buy the Tylenol. That's the kind of nurse I am. So I was just medicating. And I was just walking towards the medicine room. And the inmate came out and said, Miss Foster, don't come out. Don't come out. Stay in there. I'm like, what the heck? What do you mean, don't come out? I did not. I mean, I could have done that, question him, why I can't come out? But something tell me I need to stay in that med room and pull the window down because something about to go down. So they'll give you a little clue. You just need to know if you sense danger, stay away. Don't walk out the door. Don't open the door. This is not no movie. When they say knock, knock, you open. That ain't no opportunity. That is danger. And you need to know that. This is a jail. This is a prison. And you're dealing with real life criminals. Mhm. I mean, they will talk. They will break you down if they sense that you're weak. And I say it because the situation that you hear in the news, I've been in those situations where nurses compromise themselves and get their license taken away and even lose their job. Do not date the inmates. Do not cross that line. I'm telling you, if you want to try it, do not get yourself in that situation where these things happen to you. hmm It happens. I've worked with nurses. I mean, bringing in stuff, and I didn't know it at the time until they got caught, and that's what happened. All it takes. They are so clever. They're very talented. They're very intelligent because they have all the time in the world. And I'm just giving you advice how to deal with these inmates. They know how to break you down. Don't think you're tough. Because you're not far away from them. You gotta take the blood pressure, so they right there. You gotta get the arm and this, and they filling in those things in your ears. So you gotta be prepared. I was pregnant at the time. I used to work at Pick. Yeah, it was Pick. And then they had the black mafia came in, and then they had another kind of mafia came in. And I was a little hesitant because you're pregnant, you don't want, and I got to bring this big mafia into the room to take his blood pressure. And that man got the nerve. When I say got the nerve, he used to say, "Why are you working so hard? You don't need to work that hard. Look at you, pregnant." And he kept saying it, and I was like shaking. I was scared to take his blood pressure because he's one of those big time mafiosa. And the officers would just be laughing at me because they know I was sweating. The sweat was coming down my. They had to bring him in the room and take his blood pressure. And he was tough, and he talked very tough, and you could see the coldness in his face. And he said, "Why are you working so much?" Then the man got the nerve to ask me to bring him a nail clipper. A nail clipper. When do I? When do? When do? First of all, not when do. How dare him to jeopardize my job? Wanted me to jeopardize my job. To bring him a nail clipper to cut his nail. He should have cut his darn nail at home. I just look at him and no, I can't do that. He laughed. That's his way of testing me. Now, if I was foolish, if I didn't have no sense, if I was retarded, I probably would bring that nail clipper. And he even offered money. I said, "No, I can't. What are you gonna do with it? I know you're gonna cut your nails. That's all I'm thinking. What you gonna do with it? But there's a lot of things they can do with it. They can even do a lot with that pencil. hmm Taking care of guys who clever at doing things. So I'm just for I'm just warning you. If you want to work in correction, you better stay correct. Another thing that I notice in correction, besides there's a lot of men inmates, there's also a lot of officers, men. who are married. Don't go in there thinking you're going to hook up with an officer. He got his wife. And sometimes his wife is another officer. That's another thing. That's another thing. That's off limit for me. Do not go in there and date anybody. As a matter of fact, rule of thumb, do not nail anybody on your job. Don't do that. So you think that officer is single. Girlfriend, he ain't single, honey. He got a wife. And the wife can be the officer right there. So many times you working and they both fighting. The officer and the nurse. They trying to date the same person. That they not gonna tell you. They're not gonna tell you. And it's easy to get caught up in it because you work every day with these men. They're buff. They're well, the body's oiled. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. But you know what I'm saying, ladies. Um, and they make it seem like they're available. And you work with this man 24/7. He got a good job now. Officers make money. They work a lot of overtime. And in correction, you can make a lot of overtime. Ain't nobody want to work there. So you work a lot of overtime and you working overtime with the officer, bringing a little cooked food and he's giving him some of his food and you cooking food and we're going to do this together. Before you know it, you get caught up in some mess. I'm telling you, you get caught up in some mess. The best, don't go to Rikers. Rikers in I don't know. I don't like that jail anyway. When I went to Santa Rita jail, that was scary. Yeah, that was scary. Those inmates. Not, yeah. That one inmate, he would came in the middle of the night, they would send us down to medicate the inmate. And there's a lot of diabetics and we had to do some blood sugar. And there's this one inmate, and I think he enjoyed to see the fear in a friend of mine. I was just as a backup. We go together. We do the work together because we didn't really feel safe. It's a scary jail. But this one inmate, he was just so demanding, and you could tell that he was just smiling when he see us. Just I wanted to, just irks me. But I'm glad he wasn't my patient. I didn't like the way they made us go. You had to. It's like a big hall, and you go in there and you just stand up there, and the officers they're right here, but still you're in the middle, and they just be saying all kind of things out of their cell. Some was out, some was in the cell, some was out in the milieu, and it was just saying all kind of things. I didn't like that. I didn't like that jail, the way it was set up. But at Philadelphia jail, I like the way it's set up. You have your med room, and you and another nurse might be there, so it's like a buddy system, and you could put a little TV there. You could, the med cart, two med carts there, and they come to the window. That's what I like. I want to be in a place that's locked. They come to the window, and you push the meds, and the officer is responsible for giving them water. And that's what I like. I feel a little safer. And for a while, because there weren't any jobs in Georgia, for me paying, because I came in with debt, and I would go back and work in the Philadelphia prison system, PRN, and then after a while, I tried to work in Georgia in the jail, but it didn't quite work out. The company, I don't know about Georgia. They always want to cut corners, and I don't know what to say. I'm tired of talking about the situation. So for so long, Georgia has been paying the minimum for nurses, and they don't expect the maximum. They expect you to do 100 plus work, and they pay you less. That's the South. That's what you accepted, and that's what they give you. So, correctional nurse, it is a rewarding field because you really, after you finish correction, I think you should be an ER nurse because all the skills that you gonna use in ER is right there in correction. They stab themselves. You are able to think quickly and stop the blood. You may be in a situation where you may have to deliver the baby, but in jail they don't like when the baby born inside the jail. You need to get them out, so you got to think fast on your feet. You have to be able to have critical thinking skill. That's major. You have to decide. You have to, the inmates may be walking up to you. You need to assess them from a distance. If it's something that's need to go out, you need to get on the ball. And I'm saying seriously, I had a situation with an inmate every day. Every single day, this inmate calling up. Can I come to medical? I was thinking he want to see some of the ladies. He claimed he want to see me, but I think he want to see other ladies. I wasn't paying him no mind. Can I come to medical? And I have to consider him when he said he has a chest pain. I have to bring him up and assess him. I can't leave him in the cell. So he do it to every nurse. And they used to ignore him. And I used to say, do not ignore this man. I know he's playing around. I don't know how he gets cell phone to be calling me, but whatever he's doing, we still gotta when he said he has chest pain, we still have to act as a nurse, assess him, bring him up. Tell the officer to bring him up. There's no if and but. Bring him up and assess him. And used to tell the nurses that they would ignore him every day. Every day. Night shift I work. Mostly night shift I work. So every night he would say, oh, it's Miss Foster up there. Can I come up? I got chest pain. It used to bother me. Like, damn. Yeah. When is this chest pain gonna fit? I just didn't, I didn't believe him somewhat, but I had to do my job, think like a nurse, because this man could have a heart attack on me, and I left him in the cell, and there goes my license. Ho and below, I was off. Same thing happened. They ignore him. The man had a heart attack and had to go to the hospital. He survived, but it was a major heart attack. So I don't play around with people who say they have chest pain. People who say they have seizure, and they have a lot of pseudo seizure, which means it's not real. But we cannot ignore it as a nurse. We have to take action. So if you want to be a correctional nurse, you will learn so much skill. You will learn how to detect, and it will help you in the long run to become critical care nurse, ER nurse, OB nurse, because you using your skill, you using your hospital med surg skill right then, because you have patients that are really sick in in um in jail. They're really sick. They have diabetes, they have blood pressure issues, and they're not taking the medicine, and so you have to reinforce it. And they also have a large population of older inmates that are very ill. So you decide. I just wanted you to know that choose your career wisely. Take a little bit of experience from everyone, and then in the long run you'll find out what you really like. I've been doing a lot. I did nursing home as a LPN, so I had a little rehab in there, and supervise if you want more responsibility, but also utilize your skills. Utilize it because you're going to need it, and correctional will help you to bring the whole package together because you do draw blood, so you learn that. And be safe. Be safe.